Now look at that. You are all engaged. You got all fired up. Look at them, they're still sitting there. Hello? Hello? It's okay, it's okay. The answer to this question doesn't matter. I bet that by now, many of you, hello? That hurt. Good. I bet that by now, many of you have forgotten. I'm not here to teach you about metal plates. I'm here to talk about pedagogy. The answer to this question really doesn't matter. Imagine I've just given my little lecture just like I did before, and then I said, let's now apply it to a metal plate with a circular hole in it. Let's imagine taking that plate and putting it in the oven, turn the oven up, and the temperature goes up, and you heat this plate uniformly, and as the plate heats up, the metal expands, and the diameter of the hole, look at the tension of it. I'm going to keep you in suspense a little bit longer. I mean, if I just told it to you like that, you would have been sitting there, half asleep. I mean, what is more boring than circular holes in metal plates? Isn't it imagine how you can reawaken the curiosity of the human mind simply by asking questions, and then turn something that taken at face value is not interesting at all and make it interesting? Anyway, before I tell you the answer, let's analyze what happened here. I asked you a question, you thought about it, and then you made a commitment. I forced you to make a commitment and put your hand on your chest. And after you made that commitment, I asked you to externalize that answer. You turned to a neighbor and you said, I chose because blah, blah, blah. And what happened was truly remarkable, because in the process, you moved from the answer to the reasons because of the answer. It was no longer just about the outcome, it was about the process. I chose because blah, blah, blah. You exposed your reasoning. But most importantly, you became emotionally invested in the learning process. If I were to tell you, oh, I'm sorry, my time is up, sorry, bye, and walk out there, you'd come running after me asking me what the answer is. True? Yeah. Okay, well, before I can give you the answer, you need to vote again. Right? Remember, there's a second vote. So let's go again. At the count of 3, if you've not changed your mind, you put your same choice. That does not hold for anybody choosing 4 or 5, because there is no 4 or 5. If you still have the same choice, you put the same number of fingers on your chest. At the count of 3, get ready. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Wow, that's pretty good. Okay, go on your mind about that. Okay, I'll tell you what the choice is. Okay, the right answer is... The right answer is... I need a drum roll here. Yes, the right answer is number... Oh, my remote control's no longer working. 1! Now look at that.
Why?
There's still some people sitting there. It doesn't matter. You see, the problem was, the first time around, only about 20% of you got the right choice. So, you actually made a very important point, because you told me, Eric, your lecturing sucks. Right? I gave you a clear lecture, asked you for questions, and only 20% of you got the right answer. But still, we got a huge improve the second time around. Now, I don't want you to lose sleep tonight. So let me give you a quick explanation, and then we'll wrap up here. Imagine you form a big circle outside, holding hands near the atoms at the edge of the hole. Right, here's a circle. I'm one of them. We're holding hands. And now I step in towards the center of the hole. What just happened to the distance between us? Got smaller. It can't get smaller because remember, our neighbor is shaking more. The only way is to make the diameter of the hole larger. You won't forget this. Okay, back to BI. Unfortunately, no data, but on my website you can find them. Much higher learning gains, much better retention. I was going to show you a little bit about what happens in a lecture, but I see the chair already standing here. I want to show you some cool data, but I'm going to skip this. These are brain traces of what happens to people when they sit in a lecture. And essentially, the brain trace goes completely flat. They're the brain trace, and here's what happens in their beds when they're sleeping. In other words, your students are more asleep in your lectures than they are in their own beds. There's only one activity, watching TV, that matches the lecture. And this is another interesting thing, and since we're in Cat City, let me spend 30 seconds. This was an experiment done at Iowa State University, where they recorded 2 short lectures on calico cats. Calico cats are these cats that have 3 colors, black, orange, and white. And almost all of them are female because the fur gets encoded in the X chromosome, and therefore only cats with 2 X chromosomes can have this combination of 3 colors. They recorded 2 video lectures, short, one called the fluent video, where a lecturer was basically speaking fluently in whole sentences without notes, straight looking in the eye of the viewer and standing upright. And then that same lecturer stumbling, slouching, and speaking haltingly for notes. Then after the students, half the group of the students saw one video, the other half saw the other video. They asked students to predict how well they would do on a test. The ones who had seen the fluent speaker predicted that they would get 50% of the questions correctly on average. The ones who had seen the disfluent speaker, only about 25%. But then they actually tested the students. And you know what? There was no difference within statistical significance. And in fact, the ones who had seen the disfluent speaker were more on the mark than those who had seen the fluent speakers. And the reason is that you've not had time to think about it in lecture. You think you know it, but you've not been confronted with any misconceptions. And that gives this false sense of security, both to the teacher and the students. So, in the end, lecturing, including my lecture right here now, is just an illusion. I hope I've convinced you of one thing, though, that education is not about transferring information. It's not about getting students to do what we do. We have to prepare them for the future, for jobs that probably don't even exist right now. And therefore, I think active participation in the classroom is an absolute must. If you're interested in more information, you can go to this website, peerinstruction.net, or you can download my slides. I saw many of you take pictures, no need. You can just download them, they're already there. Only thing you have to remember is my name and go to Google and then hit this I'm feeling lucky button and you'll have a copy of my slides. Terima kasih.